Oh, boom. Did you hear that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Was
okay.
recording.
No, hey, how you
Hey,
doing?
hey.
I'm like super excited. And first of all, you are my very first guest here
Oh,
on the Taste of
okay.
Healing. No, so not too much pressure. No pressure.
Okay. Let's say that because yeah.
No pressure. So we can get right into it and we can start off. Well, y'all, welcome to A Taste of Healing.
Mhm.
And my goal here is to create culinary experiences because I feel like we have some of our most authentic conversations over food and beverage, and it flows naturally.
Mhm.
So, even with me starting my previous videos, like I literally, well, I know this is like God led, but I had this thing before where I would start stuff and stop because I'm like, no, I need to make it this or that, but I'm actually giving myself grace through
Mhm.
this process because before I stop, I'm like, no, I need to do this. So I ain't gonna start back until I get here. So with that, my goal is to create those culinary experiences, but I've yet to have an actual culinary experience
It's coming. It's coming.
by having these
I think you promised me
conversations.
a meal too, so I'm gonna hold you to it.
I
You
did,
did.
and I got you. I got you. So,
Because I like to eat. Okay.
me too, which I need to chill in the midst
Same.
of it. But with that, y'all, we got our first guest, and I'm gonna let her go ahead and introduce herself and tell us a little bit about what it is that she does.
Okay. I don't like talking about myself, but I do thank you for this opportunity. And when you told me you were doing this, I remember specifically when you told me you
Yes,
were doing this, and I was
yes.
like, go you, because I think this is amazing. And to have a space like this for people that look like us to
Mhm.
talk about this very important topic, I think is amazing. And then of course, we've already stated, but we like to eat. I don't know of my friends and family who does not like to eat and just like you said have great conversations over food and fellowship. So yeah, I think this is amazing, so I appreciate being your first guest.
Thank you.
um Little nerves, but we gonna do it.
It's
Okay.
okay. It's okay. And I said that I was like, Lord, why am I nervous? But I think when you're like given a responsibility and you know it's God led, you want to make sure you're doing the people right. Like, Lord,
Absolutely.
am I stirring the people in the right way? I don't want to tell them the wrong thing now. So
Mhm.
help me.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. So I honestly don't know. And every time I have to do this, like when I'm introducing myself to clients or in certain spaces, I'm like, I don't even know what to say about myself because I'm really not that important, y'all.
Yes,
Um, but I don't know. So first of all, I guess the reason I'm here, I guess I'll start with that, is because I am a licensed mental health counselor here in the state of Florida. I honestly work with a wide range of clientele, from adolescents, kids to adults dealing with maternal mental health related issues or perinatal mental health related issues. I work with athletes, work with a lot of adolescents and adults dealing with anxiety and depression, just trying to manage life and stresses that come with it because life be life out
life
here.
be life. And you
Uh,
got kids, right?
yes, I have four.
Yes. Oh,
Four.
bless you.
Yeah.
Bless
They
you.
keep me busy, but honestly, they are also the reason why I do what I do and why I go so
Absolutely.
hard. And honestly, through my education and my experiences, I have been able, I feel like, to be a better parent
Mhm.
because of it. But yeah, constantly educating myself on obviously parenting and the challenges of that,
Mhm.
and just like general mental health related issues so that I can equip them with proper tools to get through this thing called life.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if I missed anything, but yeah.
No, you got it. That was great. That was great. I probably would have said like two things about myself. That's it. So I love when people could do that. And then, first of all, sun and fun is happening.
Oh,
You
yeah,
hear the airplanes, I'm sorry.
yeah,
I didn't even
yeah.
think about that today. Like, and it's been happening all week.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
like, Okay. So, a little briefing about how we met. And this has definitely been a line, I feel, because we met. My best friend told you about me. She referred you to me to do your makeup.
Yes.
And I'm like, girl, you of all people, my best friend me. You know I'm trying to stop doing makeup. And you referring
Yeah.
people to me. Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? But me knowing who she is and just her referring you to me, I was like, I gotta do it. So I'm gonna do it. And then when I met you, I was like, she's awesome. So prior, like me wanting to stop doing makeup, like I knew it was something that I wasn't gonna be doing anymore. But me losing my son, like my clients seeing me growing through my pregnancy.
Mhm.
So me coming back into makeup, it was like I literally felt like I was in a chokehold because I thought it was just so awkward. Like they don't know what to say to me, and then the people that don't know I lost my baby, they asking me these hard questions, and I'm trying not to cry while I'm doing their makeup. So I'm just like, I'm gonna stop.
Mhm.
But then when I met you, we started talking about what you were doing. Cause were you taking photos?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was doing headshots for my mental health website because I
Yes.
had started my private practice and I was launching it for my birthday. So I was doing photos, not only for my birthday, but for my mental health practice as well. So
Yeah, so it was great. And you told me about what you did. And I was like, well, this is what I want to do. And like maybe we can like link up. And look how it worked
absolutely.
out. This is
Yep.
amazing.
Yep.
So with A Taste of Healing, my goal is to inspire women through the things that I love. The first thing is just letting God be able to use me to do this, like giving me this responsibility, but also letting me use the things that I'm passionate about to be able to reach his people. Like I love fashion, I love food. So him letting me do these things to bring awareness to this has been amazing.
Mhm.
So I got some questions for you.
Okay.
Okay, so the first one is how would you describe your personal style?
Ooh, I would say laid back. I love being comfortable. Um,
Mhm,
and I guess athletic style.
mhm, mhm,
Saying
mhm.
like I love a good pair of sneakers with some leggings and a t-shirt or some jeans or something. I'm not the most girly girl and I don't walk
But
out the door
baby, I
like
seen
all
you with
the
that stuff
time.
on now, okay?
So yeah, I would just say that. Just yeah.
Laid back. Yeah, and I feel like that's like me just like meeting you, like I feel like that's your personality. But baby, I seen some pictures of you in a little blue dress.
I try
I
sometimes.
said, okay, girl.
I don't step out too much, but when I do,
When I do, when I do, this 2% go slap.
exactly.
I feel you.
Exactly.
So, what do you think influences your style?
Honestly, you just said it, my personality. I do think I'm just laid back, cool, calm, and collected in general.
Mhm.
Um, so that's how I present myself when I kind of walk out the house.
I
Um,
feel that.
my family child, they like to call me bougie. I'm like, I don't know where y'all get that from. But I love a little cute outfit put together, not too much, but enough. You get what
Yes,
I'm saying? So yeah.
yes, I get it. And your locks, like when I seen your locks, I was like, I love those. I want to
Thank,
do that so bad, but I
thank
be
you.
wanting my hair done every other week.
I understand. See, the reason I got them is because I didn't want to do my hair. And
Mhm.
I'm a braids type of gal. So I was like, I might as well try it out. Honestly, it took me 5 years to actually like get enough courage to do it. Cause
Yeah,
like, what if I want to change my hair or something like that? Try something different. But I have no regrets about it.
I love it. Okay, since we like to eat, what's your favorite food?
Ooh, yeah. So my first thought when you ask that is Italian.
Mhm.
Honestly, I love I love a good pasta,
Mhm.
with the good pairing with the wine every now and then. I like bread,
Mhm. Mhm.
so good garlic knot or garlic
Mhm.
bread or something.
Yeah.
So initially, but honestly, I like to try all types of food. My
Mhm.
kids are actually like that too. They have a pretty good palate. We will try any and everything. So, um, just kind of depends on my mood. And I'm a Southern girl, so Southern, comfort food is
Baby.
always a go-to.
Always, always. So, do you cook? Do you
Ooh,
cook?
child. Try to get there. I probably need a cooking class or two from you, but I try to do something. I'm not a big cook, I'm gonna be honest with you. Uh,
Okay.
but when I do, my go-to are pasta, like
Okay.
Italian black soup. So,
Okay. So, with Italian maybe being one of your favorite foods, do you have a particular story or a particular memory to why you do like Italian food so much?
oh, honestly,
It
no.
just tastes
Just love the taste of it. And then so I was a college athlete, and I
good.
just remember like we always found an Italian type restaurant when we would be on the road, and we have to have like pregame meals or something. Because before games they were like carb us up
Mm-hmm.
basically, make sure
Mm-hmm.
we are properly fueled for games. And
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed those moments, like just sitting around with teammates and chatting and having a good time,
Yeah.
and enjoying food. So I guess that would probably be my best memory of that. So
Okay. Um, so really dog girl. I'm sorry. um, so has there ever been a time when you've had to overcome grief? And I know a lot of times we often associate grief with someone passing away, but as humans, we grieve a lot of things. So, what is something that you had to grieve, and how did you overcome it?
okay. I'm actually glad that you mentioned that because I do typically think like death of a loved one or something like that, or a pet,
Mhm.
as the only forms of grief. But like you said, grief comes in a lot of different ways. You can grieve certain aspects of your life, like becoming a parent, right? That you can go through grief during that process.
Okay.
Like I mentioned, losing a pet, losing a relationship, a significant relationship in your life, whether that be a romantic relationship or a friendship, you experience grief through that.
Mhm.
Um, I would say in my life, transparent, and I'm a crybaby, so hopefully tears don't start flowing.
Yeah, me neither, because I cry too. Don't even be knowing people go just
Right.
cry.
No, exactly. Especially I see other people crying. I'm like, oh Lord. Um, transparent moment. I would say a significant relationship that I had most of my life. If I'm being honest, kind of still grieving that. Um, it's been a journey.
Mhm.
I will say that I like who I'm becoming because I'm really getting to know who I am outside of that. Because that relationship kind of took up most of my life. I was a young teenager when
Mhm.
I got into that, and as a grown adult now, real grown with multiple kids,
Mhm.
um, it's been a process. I would say the other was losing my brother some years ago unexpectedly. I remember that night very vividly. He died due to gun violence.
Mhm.
And that grief showed up for a lot of different reasons. One, because we weren't like extremely close, but we were getting closer, like we were developing a relationship and we were spending more time together. So I felt like I don't know, I was stripped of the opportunity to really
Mhm.
get to know him and connect with him in the way that I wish I had as a younger child. Um,
Mhm.
and I think about that now. So part of my grief involved a lot of my grief involved guilt of
Mhm.
just not like nurturing that relationship a little bit more, doing more, being there more. So I'm intentional now about spending adequate time with loved ones and family because of that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. I know, and a lot of times I feel like it took me a long time to actually realize that I was grieving because you be numb for a long time, I feel, and you just feel like the best way to not think about it or just block it out is just to do something to
Mhm.
move forward. But at some point, it'll like hit you. Like, do you feel like you had any triggers that like you felt like was because of the grief at any point?
Oh, moments of solitude, like, when I am kind of forced to be by myself,
Mhm.
more recently, that's when it kind of hits me. And instead of like kind of forcing myself to reach out to others and being around others, just being able to sit with myself at times and fully process those emotions because that's necessary. In order to get through grief, you have to go through the process. You can't kind of go under it, go on, over it. You have to go through it. So I would say that, and, you know, seeing pictures of my brother, hearing others talk about their relationship with him, and just kind of, wishing I had similar experiences or stories. So yeah, I would say those are the things.
Okay, Dr. Raquel, can you explain to us a little bit about what it is that you do?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, I'm a mental health provider, licensed mental health counselor. So essentially, I feel like I approach my work as just as support, an additional resource to help you or help clients kind
Mhm,
of reach their personal goals and well-being,
mhm,
whatever that is. I'm here to provide tools and interventions to help you improve,
mhm,
and be able to take those things and apply them to your everyday life. Um, Sometimes I'm just a listening ear because sometimes people just need a moment to vent. Other times I'm your sounding board. I'm giving feedback and I'm challenging your way of thinking and way of behaving in certain situations. So I don't feel like, yes, I'm the professional, I have the education. However, I feel like people are experts at their own of in their own life. Like
mhm,
I can't tell you how to necessarily, I can't always tell you the right way to do something. I'm gonna help you figure that out.
mhm,
Whereas, um I think a lot of people think that mental health providers, I'm giving you instruction and you're expected to apply it. Sometimes
yeah,
it might be, helping guide people and giving them, I don't know, direction. But
mhm,
essentially, the way I approach it is we're in this thing together. We're a team,
mhm,
right? And we're going to figure it out together because that looks different for everybody.
mhm.
What might work for one person isn't going to work for the next as it relates to, getting through depression or anxiety or even getting through grief. So, yeah, I
I
guess that's the
love
best way
that.
to put it.
Yeah, I love that just because like with here at A Taste of Healing, I call like the audience or our audience like processing partners because we are going through this together. Like I definitely don't have all the answers, and I can literally say I probably just started dealing with my grief. It's been 5 years, and I think I literally just started to deal with it. Like I think I just jumped right into it. Like I need to do something, so I won't think about this. But like
Hmm.
you said, it don't stop.
Yeah.
So like you at some point you have to sit down and realize what it is that you're dealing with. So what would be advice you would have for someone dealing with like child loss, whether it's like infant loss, um and just navigating postpartum because that's something that I was dealing with and I didn't have the language to put like what that was, because yes, I gave birth to my son and he wasn't alive when I gave birth to him, but my body is physically going through all of the changes, and
Absolutely.
I'm doing everything like the woman next to me, she had her living child. So how how would you help someone try and like navigate those like feelings?
Well, first of all, it's important that you recognize that you're experiencing or what you're experiencing. Let me say it like that. Um, Let me be clear. Everyone who deals with loss doesn't necessarily reach a diagnosis of postpartum depression. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
they may feel the sadness and they go through that journey. But everyone, I can't give everyone the diagnosis of postpartum depression. Essentially, just understanding what your symptoms are and recognizing if it has become outside of like your normal um I guess way of processing and responding to stress and loss and things of that nature. But my advice is to seek immediate attention. Once you notice, all right, I'm not okay, right? I'm not eating, I'm not sleeping, whatever that is, that's showing up, seeking immediate attention, leaning on your support, right? I feel very strongly in having adequate support system. If you don't have that, then my advice is to reach out to support groups because there are plenty out here. You just have to find those support groups, and finding the appropriate ways to process that grief or process that pain.
Yeah, because I know, um, for me, I at the time I didn't know anyone who had lost a child or experienced child loss.
Mhm.
So me being who I am, I'm always still thinking of others
Yeah.
or thinking about me. So my thing is like I don't want to dump my stuff
Mm,
on other people. So I'm trying to like just carry that. You know what I mean? And I didn't feel like I had anyone that I could talk to because I didn't know anyone that had been through it. My friends, they don't have kids, they haven't experienced this. So this all stuff that I'm trying to hold in. And so
yeah.
and I felt like it was driving me crazy.
Yeah. That is actually extremely common, whether it's the loss of a child and going through miscarriage or stillbirth, but also just dealing with the loss of a loved one, feeling as though like putting your burdens onto someone else is going to be too much for them to carry. So like I said, if you're doing that, I'm sorry, if you're going through that and you feel like you don't have the necessary support, maybe you do, but you're not recognizing that they're willing and able to help, then finding support groups because there are grief support groups out there. There are support groups for women who deal with child loss and, miscarriages, and things of that nature. So finding those resources and engaging in those resources. But also, I love what you are doing in regards to taking that pain that you've experienced and kind of turning it into something productive and positive, because that alone is a therapeutic process, and is a form of self-care. So yeah, I definitely give you kudos for that. And I think we talked about that before. Because yes, you're here to help others, but you're gonna gain so much from it, yourself. So yeah.
And with me doing this, I feel like I I found support groups, but a lot of them didn't look like me. So
Yeah.
when I'm reaching out to them, and it was mainly like on Instagram and stuff, when I'm reaching out to them, I can see them like responding to other people and stuff like that. But I leave a comment, it's crickets. And I'm like,
Mm,
okay, well, maybe I need to send an email. Send an email,
yeah.
that's crickets too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it wasn't until I literally found one support group. Um, called the Morning Moms, and they were literally telling their story through like fashion, which
Oh,
automatically inspired me because I'm like, okay, I love this. Like they look like me, and I like clothes and stuff too. But it's literally just more than that. And with the founder Katina, like she literally like it turned into a DM, then it turned into a text message, then it turned into a phone call, and we've literally been talking to each other now for like 5 years, which is great. So I literally just feel like I want to be a resource for women like myself so they won't have to try to hold that in because it'll drive us crazy.
Oh,
And
yeah,
we
absolutely.
still like
Absolutely.
life's still going on. Like we still have other stuff to deal with. So it was really hard.
Hmm.
So
And I do want to give you a resource, which I found this probably about, maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
mhm,
It's a group of um, Black or women of color
mhm.
or therapists of color who kind of came together and formed an organization called Black Perinatal Mental Health.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and they actually have a website or like an Instagram page and Facebook page with resources. And I know they do support groups and stuff like that. So I'll make sure I actually send
Yes,
that
please,
information to you.
please, please do. I will absolutely love that. So I know for me, I got pregnant again and still didn't really process
Hmm.
um little Eddie's passing. So I got pregnant again. So instantly, I'm terrified.
Hmm.
I didn't know what when I found out, I cried so long. I don't even know. And I wasn't happy about it at all, if I could be completely transparent, because I'm like, is my baby gonna die? So like what are some questions maybe we should have for our providers? Just for example, like I feel like going into my appointments with this new pregnancy, I was pregnant with Maxwell. Like I remember me losing my baby very vividly.
Yeah.
And you, the provider, like taking it as, oh, it's okay. We're gonna get you through this one. Like, or not even just saying that, like not even, I guess, recognizing that it happened. You know what I mean? Like, so I know for instance, when I went to my first appointment to get an ultrasound, the lady who was doing my ultrasound, she didn't even remember me. She did my ultrasound the last time.
Mm.
And she's the one that told me little Eddie didn't have a heartbeat.
Oh, wow.
But she didn't remember that at all. She didn't remember me. I had to tell her, hey, X, Y, and Z happened. And then she was like, oh, she literally, I remember her having this like blank stare on her face.
Yeah.
And I wanted to say, girl, you don't remember? So I guess it goes to for some people doing it because it's a job, and some people really having a passion for what it is that they're doing.
Yeah.
So, do you think like if we've experienced that, we need to go in there with a list like, hey, this what happened to me last time. What can we do this time to
Hmm.
try and be on top of things to make sure that this don't happen again?
Hmm. So the first thing that comes to mind when saying that is, and this isn't to dismiss those feelings, but just remembering that just because you went through child loss before doesn't automatically mean it will happen again. But to try to kind of feel better about the process, it's been recommended to have like a preconception appointment where you're doing like a full body checkup, you know, reviewing like health history, medical history, the whole nine.
Mhm.
Now, obviously, if you get pregnant before you're able to actually do that, then yeah, it would help like whatever concerns that you have in mind in regards to, I don't know if you know what led to
Mhm.
losing your child, but if you aren't trying to get answers in regards to that would be one thing because that could probably potentially bring some peace of mind. It can be very just specific to that pregnancy alone. But if say there's a genetic issue, say the provider refer you to a genetic counselor and you do whatever tests and things of that nature that they recommend. If it might be a genetic issue, then being aware of that and knowledge, like being educated on what that is. And then of course, how to take care of yourself after that would be important. That could be, maybe you take a medication and that specific medication has an effect on your pregnancy. It could be how you're eating. It can be obviously if women drink or, engage in drug activity, a whole lot of things, but also which we don't keep in mind, but high stress environments, our jobs, if it's a high stress job, that can have implications on our pregnancy, right? So being very aware of the things around us and that's going on in our life is important. So these are also questions you can ask your provider. Now, will they have all the answers? Probably not. Because, obviously they're taking care of the medical side of it, but, running the necessary tests, making sure you provide all of your family's medical history that you're aware of, whether that be, if you've had family members who've gone through child loss, obviously your pregnancy history, telling them if they aren't already aware, how many miscarriages or stillbirths you've had, things of that nature, even like any infertility challenges that you may have had. That's information to provide to the doctor so that they can help guide you through this new journey of pregnancy. Those are like main things that come to mind.
Okay. Um, and the last question. So, what advice would you have for someone? Because like I said, a lot of times, well, I'll say me going through this process with losing little Eddie, it has, and even having Maxwell, I gave birth to him at 24 weeks.
Mm.
Me going through this process, it has allowed me to advocate more for myself. I've always been very just soft spoken and laid back and just kind of never really said too much. But now it's like I have the responsibility to speak up. Not only am I speaking up for myself, I got to speak up for these kids.
Absolutely.
Because if I don't, who will? So, what advice would you give to someone that is probably still like the girl that I was, the quiet girl, not really speaking up for herself, that you would strongly encourage to speak up for herself? And if you are going through this, like, get the help that you need. What would you like say to them?
Yeah. One is your life may depend on it,
Yeah.
right? So it's important that we learn to advocate for ourselves and obviously for our children who don't necessarily know what's going on or have a voice themselves. Having your support system with you, whether that's uh, a spouse or a loved one that you trust, who might assist with speaking up for you, but also listen, Black doctors are, becoming a very important thing. Well, they've
Yes.
always been a very important thing. So I actively seek out, most of my care providers are now either Black or people of color.
Yeah.
And I've been very strategic about that because we know like there are certain health issues that show up more prominently in Black women than in white women.
Mhm.
We also know that, structural racism is a real thing. And I want someone who's going to listen to me when I voice my concerns, whether that be for my own health or my child's health, and who's going to be attentive to that and not dismissive. So those things are extremely important to me as I'm seeking out a
Mhm.
care provider. But yeah, I mean, like I said, the biggest thing is if your life depends on it. Every time I walk into that doctor's office, I want to make sure they are hearing me, they are paying full attention to me when I'm having a checkup. They're paying attention to my labs and they're doing everything necessary to make sure I am, you know, healthy and I'm able to thrive, live a
Yeah.
long life. Yeah, because that's important. So
I love that. And with you saying that, I have this thing now, and I've had this thing where like using my voice has been just such a hard thing for me. And it's like now I really just say, like, okay, imagine you having all these gifts and purpose and passion, and you're able to operate in that just on the other side of what you're afraid of. So imagine you or me not using my voice and just staying laid back. Imagine that keeping my kids away from the life that they deserve. Imagine that keeping me away from the life that I deserve. So that's literally the space that I'm in now. Like, I'm scared, but I'm gonna do it, you know?
Mhm.
I really do love that for me now, because I'm seeing like, now, girl, you gotta open your mouth. You gotta say something. Like I was terrified to ask you to do this, but I'm like, girl, you already talked to this girl about doing this. So why are you scared? But again, like I said in the beginning, when you feel like you've been given a responsibility, you want to make sure that you're doing not only just right by people, but you're being like a representative of God and his word and what it is that he wants you to do. And I ain't perfect by far, but I do want to make sure that I'm doing what he wants me to do and ultimately just being a vessel to lead his kids back to him.
Absolutely. It's funny that you say that because when you asked, I was like, oh Lord. I know we talked about it, but dang, because
Oh, she asked me for real.
yeah, seriously. Seriously. Because I mean, I've done like little small speaking engagements with people that I like know, but obviously the idea of this being put out into the world, I'm like, oh man, like by no means, listen, imposter syndrome is a real thing. And I've
Mhm.
been going through that, especially with like starting my private practice. I recently finished school and now trying to, gain more opportunities and like you trying to do things within the community, essentially to help build and awareness in regards to mental health in the Black community specifically, but within people of color. And I know that requires me to get out of my comfort zone. I listen, I stay out of the way. I don't like to be seen, but I know that requires me to speak up and do so with a strong voice, but also like yourself, like you said, I'm trying to be an example for my own children to like, we don't grow in spaces that are comfortable. In order for us to grow, we have to be uncomfortable,
Mhm.
right? And I'm gonna give my grandmother her flower. She is a strong woman, okay? And I'm growing up, I remember her just addressing conflict head on and saying what needed to be said, but obviously in an appropriate manner. And I've learned how to do that from her. Like sometimes conflict can be uncomfortable, but addressing it head on and doing so in an appropriate manner can, you know, produce some beautiful things. And I'm very intentional about doing that when I'm uncomfortable or when something bothers me, being able to get that off my chest, but also being very aware of how I say it when I'm addressing it, is important as well. So yeah, it's just funny that you mentioned that.
I love that.
But that also comes to mind when you ask the question about like how to advocate for yourself. If no, my thought is if not me, who else is going to
Yeah.
do it, right?
Mhm.
Who's going to fight for me if I'm not going to fight for myself? If I'm not fighting for my kids, who's going to do it? Right. So it's just kind of like one of those things I have to do. It doesn't feel good at times, but it's a must. So
Yeah, for sure. And I know I'm going through something with my son now, Maxwell. He was born at 24 weeks, obviously, and I just have to like, I know I don't understand a lot, but help me understand.
yeah,
Like that's the space that I'm in now. So like, and he's my main priority. Like I gotta speak up for myself. I gotta speak up for him. And even situations where I'm married now, like I gotta speak up for my husband when I need
right,
to. It's like,
right.
girl, that ain't even your business. But I need to. You feel me? But I love like this space for me now. So I'm excited to see. Well, all of this just showing up takes both of us, you know. And if you ever need anything in your business where I can help and be of service, you got me. Just call me.
I envision some more collaborative opportunities for us. As I mentioned, trying to bring more awareness to mental health and access to mental health services in our community, is something that I am passionate about,
Mhm.
and that I'm in the process of doing. So listen, we will get together. This thing is going to grow. And I
Yeah.
told you when you told me about it, like this space is so needed,
Mhm.
right? Um, and I think you mentioned to me when we first started talking about it, like when you went through it, you weren't even aware there were family members who went through similar thing.
Yeah.
And same for me. Like I didn't know I had family members who went through miscarriages or even stillborns and
Mhm.
stillbirths and things of that nature. But
Talk about it.
I've learned and become more aware of it as
Hmm.
I've gotten older. And it happens it happens as often, I'm sorry, it happens more often than what we realize.
Yeah.
So having this space and having support is so necessary. And I just love what you're doing. So yeah,
Thank you.
I absolutely do.
I appreciate. Thank you so much. I can't say thank you enough. I felt like the devil was hating on us again because we've been trying to get this together for a
No,
long
seriously.
time. And I'm
Seriously.
like, at this point, we about to do a Zoom because
Absolutely.
I need, and I'm happy with that too. Because back in the day, me, I'm like, okay, it ain't work, it ain't meant to be, so I'm finna just stop.
Mm-hmm.
But I kept going, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm just happy. So thank
Absolutely.
you, thank you, thank you. And I do have a gift for you. So
Okay.
you got to provide me with your address so I can get that over to you.
Okay.
But I
Absolutely.
appreciate you.
No
Thank
problem.
you. Thank
No
you.
problem.
Thank you. I know I'm gonna need you again soon, so I'll talk to you about that.
No worries. I will definitely send you those resources so that you can kind of share that with your community.
Absolutely.
Um, because yeah, I've been very intentional about gaining more education, understanding about this space.
Mhm.
Because there's still things that I don't know that I'm constantly learning. So I'll make sure I provide that to you. One thing that actually came to mind, I feel like I need to say this is we often think about postpartum depression, but also remembering that anxiety can show up.
Mhm.
Um, there's even postpartum psychosis that shows up.
Mhm.
So making sure we engage in the proper resources when these things are show up is important. But also, it doesn't just happen post birth,
Mhm.
right? Post delivery. This can show up during pregnancy as well. Right. So being very aware of that. And like I said, leaning on support and reaching out to appropriate resources and support is going to be necessary.
Yeah,
So
see, because I don't even know what that is, what you just said about
what?
the,
Which
well,
one?
the post anxiety, but the other one, the post, what you said?
Psychosis?
Yes, what is that?
Yeah, so it is definitely a thing. I've actually seen it in real life, and I was kind of threw me off
Mhm.
because this was before I kind of got more educated on postpartum, symptoms and things of that nature. But essentially, I mean, you've probably heard of schizophrenia and people who hallucinate and have delusions. That can happen post delivery with women. They can
Mhm.
go through postpartum psychosis, and it is related to their delivery or, birth of their child. So yeah, they experience delusion. So, believing things are there that aren't there, or things are happening that isn't, reality. Uh, it happens. So just
I,
being
I
aware of
could,
that.
now that you talking, I could say a few times I probably done spaz
Yeah,
out,
it
but
definitely happens. It
yeah.
happens. You can.
And that's why this is important that we do it because, like, me ultimately, I'm just associating everything with postpartum depression because when you do hear of stuff, that's the one that's like at the forefront
Mhm.
where people talk
Absolutely.
about the most. But
Absolutely.
yeah, because I didn't start experiencing anxiety or none of that until I had my first son. Like,
Yeah.
I've experienced all of that. So I'm happy you did bring that up because I didn't even know what that was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. But
Well,
I mean,
thank
that's why this space is needed though, because
you.
it is very common for especially Black women to be experiencing symptoms that show up and can be diagnosed as depression or anxiety. But for many Black women, we are like typically can be functioning through that, like experiencing depression and experiencing anxiety, but still be able to function. So just, a functional depressed woman, right? And we don't really know how to voice those symptoms or what's happening to us. And because certain providers aren't culturally competent, they don't know how to respond to it,
Yep.
right? So it's important that we have people that understand what that looks like and understand how to support us when it's happening. So,
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much for that.
yeah, no problem.
I really appreciate it. And when we finish this, I will need your address to
Mhm.
send that information over to me. And I work tomorrow, but I work from home, and I'll try to get it out to you tomorrow.
Okay. No problem.
But thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. I appreciate you.
Thank
We will definitely get together real
Yeah,
soon.
and I'm gonna get you your Italian food. I'm gonna make it
Okay.
for you.
I'm
Prior
listen,
to
I'm gonna
this,
hold you to it.
I had a whole spread like out just for you, but the devil kept hating on me. But we
Yeah,
gonna get in the space where I'm
it's
able to
okay.
deliver. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'll talk to you later.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you. We'll talk soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye.